Hello and welcome back to the DUSwimDive Podcast. Today we're going to be having Josie Bushell, freshman on the women's team from Edwardsville, Illinois. She is a freestyler who swims 50 freestyle, 100 freestyle, and 200 freestyle, and she was one of two freshman girls to go to nationals this year. So, Josie Bushell, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well so far. Like I said before, before the pre-recording talk, getting back into the pool, it's painful, but it's worth it. And I kind of miss, even though we have such a short break time, I do really miss the pool. I miss just having those structured workouts during the day, because you find, and I can only imagine what's going to be like when I stop swimming next year, but you find you kind of lose track of yourself pretty easily without swimming. So yeah, so I wanted to talk to you specifically. Like I said, you were one of two freshman girls to go to nationals, and I want to get into that with you, because that's always something that people come in with as a goal. Usually for freshmen, they come in and you know, they don't exactly know what they're entirely capable of when it comes to like the training and everything like that. But they usually come in very optimistic, and they're aiming for the top, which is wonderful. We're a very ambitious team, and I think that's one of our strengths. And so making it to nationals as a freshman is always very impressive. And I'm curious, when did you know that you were going to nationals?
Well, I came on to the team thinking I would go in a relay until the great COVID only, non-relay swimmers only, like they can't come.
Yeah.
So I think after the last chance meet, I definitely thought for sure I wasn't going at all. And then Zach texted me, "Hey, another last chance meet." And I went to that one, still didn't think I was going. And then I think the next week at practice, because they told me keep coming anyways in case you come. And then the Swim article came out, and they're like, "Josie, your name's on it. You're going." Reynolds was like, "It's 100%. It's not the real list, but you're going."
Nice. So basically, you didn't know you were going until you were on the bus on the way there.
Basically, like the week before.
Yeah, nice. Well, I mean, man, that's an interesting like situation. So how did you feel going into it, as far as like, did you feel prepared, or did you feel nervous or anything like that as a freshman, and not really knowing, until pretty much the last minute?
I think I was definitely more worried that I was kind of going to make a fool of myself there, being tapered for conference and then tapered for last chance and then staying rested for nationals. I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm too rested. I'm not going to do well." And I was just scared to go to that big of a level meet and be completely rested for so long.
And how do you think that you did at nationals with all that considered?
I don't think it was bad. I was barely off of all of my times, just a few hundredths. I did good on the one relay I was on. That was my best relay split I've ever had in 100. So I don't think it was a bad first year meet.
Nice, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, like, well, and it's interesting that you say that you were kind of concerned that you would make a fool of yourself with all of this, like, over resting, as you said. A lot of people would kind of let that get into their head like too much, and a lot of people can choke from that, and just not be able to perform. And so it's great to see that you were able to perform at least close to your best times while being there. How do you think that the meet was structured? Because we had some very fun and interesting things happen there, but with like COVID and other factors.
Um, it was the first 2 days were definitely odd. It didn't feel like the national meet until I would say like the second or the third and the last day, just because it wasn't prelims finals and it was just swim what you got and that's all you get. But I think the energy and everything was still what I expected for a nationals meet. Just the times that we were swimming were a little off.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I really liked the energy that we had. And it was great to see the girls team do as well as they did. And it's great to see that we had a lot of great swims on the guys team as well. But since you're on the girls team, it's great to see the girls team having done what they did, especially because you and Mackenzie Weber were kind of in the same boat going into nationals. We were really hoping to get you two in there, and it was great that we did. So yeah, I don't know. Did you guys talk at all about, because you guys swam the 50 free together a couple times? Did you guys talk about that and going to nationals or anything?
I think leading up to nationals, we were both kind of, like I said earlier, we were both freaking out a little bit, like, oh my goodness, we're so rested. But I think especially for Mackenzie, she definitely went in and was like, this is my last one, and she went all out and she did really good. So I think she kind of let the nerves go and was just like, this is it, this is the last one for me.
Yeah. Well, and I think that also ties into some of the ambitiousness on the team. And Mackenzie, she's, such a sweet person, and we've had her on the podcast, before, and she's such a delightful person. But, I also think that she's a very ambitious person. And so I'm glad that she was able to get in there for the last nationals. Cause I think up until that point, she had only gone as a relay swimmer. And so her last year, she got to go as an individual swimmer as well as a, relay swimmer then, of course. So, that was wonderful to see. But speaking of ambitions, so are you planning to stay over the summer, or are you going to go back? Are you going to go back home?
I am going back, but I think definitely if I don't come back next summer, I will definitely stay the summer coming into my senior year. I would like to stay next summer too, but this summer I am going home.
Gotcha. Well, what things are you thinking about to kind of fulfill your ambitions for next year?
I think definitely all the small things that Reynolds preaches all year of actually doing underwaters, because I don't do those and I really need to, and stretching and actually working on my ankle flexibility every night, eating healthy, and just everything that I can be doing that I haven't been doing, but will definitely help me.
Yeah. Well, and would you mind if I also gave you a small goal for next year? Okay. Yeah, it's usually the goal that kind of gets you the best positioning going into like the back end of the season, for conference and for nationals, is to try to make your cuts by midseason. And that's just how it is for everyone. But it's just like important to keep that in mind, especially when you're training over the summer, because then consistency with like your training and the specific things that you're working on becomes extremely important, so that you can just roll from here all the way to November. So you get like a nice, long month, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4 months of training. I'd say 4 or 5 months of training, something like that, going into midseason. Yeah. So you basically get, just a long, consistent string going into midseason, which then if you do make your times at midseason, it's a lot of stress taken off that you just don't have to worry about, and you don't have to worry about not worrying about it. So yeah, and then you can just ride into, winter training and just see how high you can go. So yeah, I think that's just like a goal that everyone should have as returners, is to try to make that their main ambition, and that's usually what people do. So yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk for that long.
I definitely don't want to be rested for another 2 months again. So I'm definitely trying to get ranked where I need to be by midseason, so I'm not tapering for conference, and then nationals I want to not rest for conference and just be set in my spot already.
Yeah. Do you think there are any things about your taper that might help? Because that's also something you may want to consider going into mid-season to kind of set you up on the best foot.
Yeah, I think going into conference was a pretty good taper for me. I would like to rest a little bit less just because at past meets, I have done better on shorter rest rather than like a whole 2 weeks.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, then that's definitely something that you'll want to communicate with your coach. And that's another thing too that I noticed this year, especially. It seemed like the coaches did a really good job of tapering people this year, and that's not to say that they haven't in the past years, but I think this year was special because they really decided to listen to what some of us were saying about like our specific tapers, and they made the tapers much more customizable, which it shows a certain level of trust in like the people on the team that you're serious, you will do what you need to do to be tapered. And I think that's wonderful, and I think it really showed lots of great results on the team. So now, talking more personally for you, going into this year, what was kind of your view of the team? On day one, freshman Josie's walking in, first practice. What's kind of your view of the team?
Definitely scared of about 90% of the people, but I don't know. Everyone was super nice. Everyone talked to me. I don't know. I love the team. Everyone is so nice. Definitely very welcoming, but again, scared of everyone that I don't know coming in. But it's been really good getting to know everyone and realizing that I definitely should not be scared of anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say I can't really think of anyone who would necessarily be real scary except for maybe Alexi, because he's quiet and he's very tall. So I don't know.
Asha, very scary.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So ripped.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I think the taller the person was kind of meant that they were more scary to me too.
Fair enough. And now that we have been through an entire year, and a very interesting year at that, and I think that because of all of the interesting COVID hardships of this year, we've gotten a lot closer, as a team in many aspects. After this year, now, coming out of freshman year, what is kind of your view of the team? How would you summarize the team?
Well, I love it, and I think everyone is way more supportive than I ever thought could be coming into the team. Like, I didn't realize how much everyone was rooting for everyone. Like, the girls team, well, I'm not on the guys team, so I don't know.
Well, yeah.
The girls team especially, like, we do our secret swimmer, so before every meet I would get multiple notes wishing me luck, saying how hard I work in practice and just good luck, you're gonna do great. Just every team meeting we've had is just so positive and encouraging, and I never thought that much encouragement was possible, and I just think it's really great. I love being on this team.
Yeah. Well, and like I said before, we, a lot of us that were kind of already set for nationals, we were really hoping to get you and Mackenzie into nationals. And, I remember hearing that we had gotten both of you in, and, I was just really happy to see that, as a freshman, you had made it in, because that's like I said, a really big goal that a lot of freshmen have, and it's an impressive accomplishment to do, and it just shows that your hard work, really did pay off there. And then of course for Mackenzie, it's a little bit of a different context, because she was a senior, and I remember watching her. She did that time trial 50 at the end of the last chance meet at Drury. And I think Doug has it on the Instagram, but she comes into the wall and we all just erupt because she had gotten the time that she wanted, So yeah, in so many aspects, I think this team has, especially because of all the hardships this year, has been just driven to be closer and so much more supportive, of everyone on the team, even of new people who are scared of us. So
I think one of my favorite moments was whenever Cammie made her nationals cuts, because everyone was so excited. People were crying. I mean, I didn't know Cammie that well, but I felt like I needed to start crying. Like, everyone was just so happy for her. And even Reynolds, I remember hearing him say at the beginning of the year, like, I want her to get this nationals cut so bad. Like, she's been working so hard. And so it was just awesome at conference when she actually got it and watching it happen.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, there have been so many great moments this year, and it's important to keep that stuff in mind, for next year, because we just, like I said before, and I keep saying this all the time, but it's so true, is we are an ambitious team, and it's important to know where our positives are so that we can set our ambitions accordingly. And so that moment with Cammie, that moment with Mackenzie, and then hearing that you had gotten in there, and you and Morgan, who will be on the podcast next week, as the other freshman girl swimmer who made it into nationals. It was great to see that you guys had made it in. And I hope that we were, all supportive, up until the end for you. So yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. All righty. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about your experiences. And it's really fun for me to hear about the freshman experiences, especially this year. As a captain, that's one thing that I had thought about a lot, was like, what environment, because of COVID and all this stuff, are the freshmen coming in, and how can I and the other captains facilitate good environments. So when you say that we're very encouraging, that makes me feel happy. So
yeah.
All righty. Well, sorry to get a little sappy at the end there. Thank you very much for coming on. Have a good day.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Thank you for listening to the DUSwimDive podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe.